Hi, this is Father Jack back again, this time to talk about this silly, crazy notion that somehow people get addicted to nicotine and electronic cigarettes. It's nonsensical. It's used by the anti nicotine tobacco zealots, the ants, to have just one more reason why they should ban these things. And it's ridiculous because it's not true. There is no such thing as addiction to electronic cigarettes. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, I think I'm addicted because I vape just as much as I ever smoked. And I want to help you understand why that's not exactly the same. There is a huge, important difference. I'm qualified, I think, to talk about this both personally as a recovering smoker and now a vapor, but also professionally as I am a professor of addiction studies at a local community college, and I also teach things like pharmacology and addiction studies at a university. I know my stuff personally and professionally, and I've certainly studied this in every way, shape, or form. So, what I am and what many of you are is perhaps dependent on nicotine or dependent on electronic cigarettes. And you say, well, what's the difference? Addiction, dependency, addiction, same thing. No, it's not the same thing. Very important distinction because you can be dependent on a substance without being addicted to it, and you can be addicted to a substance without being dependent on it. So it is a big difference. With addiction, you need treatment, you need help. It's a different ballgame. So let me just give you the real nutshell of all this. Anybody can use a substance, right? Everybody does, medicine, whatever, normal. Sometimes we abuse substances. When we take that third Tylenol because we think our headache is so bad, and gosh, you know what happened when grandma had that second glass of champagne at your sister's wedding. Whoa. Okay. Sometimes people abuse substances. My fraternity guys, they're professional abusers because they think every Friday and Saturday night it's their job to deliberately get as drunk as possible. Well, that's not alcoholism. That's not addiction, right? That's just stupid, right? So there's use, there's abuse or misuse. Then we have this thing called dependency. Now, dependency is merely the body's reaction to being accustomed to a certain kind of chemical that has the properties of punishing you for stopping using it. Now, the real simple, obvious example of that is caffeine. I drink a lot of coffee, many of you drink a lot of coffee, and we enjoy the mild stimulant effects of caffeine. But caffeine itself has this property that it acclimates to your body in such a way that, gosh, if I didn't drink coffee tomorrow morning, by noon, I'm going to have severe headaches. That's a withdrawal symptom of a drug. It doesn't mean I'm addicted to it, right? We make jokes about caffeine junkies and all that sort of thing, but that's not addiction. Addiction is a different ballgame whatsoever. Because basically, caffeine dependency does not have negative consequences. Not to me. It might if you're pregnant or have a heart condition, but most people, it's merely a simple dependency. That's different than addiction. Addiction involves loss of control, making you careless of people's welfare, and a whole list of other things. But the main criteria is persistent use despite negative consequences. You keep doing it, even though you know it's going to hurt you. You keep doing it anyway, and no matter how bad things get. That's what addiction is. And that's why smoking may qualify as an addiction. Certainly, I spent too much money on it. I did it in spite of how it was harming my health, the smell, all that stuff. You could maybe argue that smoking was. But I wasn't addicted to nicotine. I was addicted to smoking because smoking is a lot more than just ingesting nicotine, right? The ritual of opening a pack of cigarettes, smelling it, the way we light it, the way we converse with other people while we smoke. Uh, it's a biopsychosocial phenomenon. It involves much more than just physical dependency on a drug. If it was just a matter of dependency on a drug, Well, patches and gums would work just fine to get people off cigarettes, but they don't. We know what a 1.7% success rate they have, right? So addiction to smoking is obviously much more involved than just keeping a blood nicotine level up. No, it's that's part of it, but it's all that ritual involved and all that other stuff, and that's all another video. With electronic cigarettes, there is dependency on the nicotine, and I rather enjoy vaping. Uh, I think Raspberry Mojito from Pink Spot Vapers is actually a proof of the existence of God, and I enjoy it. But I wouldn't say I'm addicted to it. I'm definitely dependent on it, right? If I stopped, I'd go through withdrawal symptoms, and probably by 7 o'clock, I'd be at a liquor store buying a pack of cigarettes. But because there are no negative consequences, right? Financially, um, it doesn't make me careless of other people's welfare. It's not harming my health. It's not hurting me. So at the worst, I am dependent on it, and I'm certainly not addicted to it. And that's what everybody needs to appreciate. And once in a while, you see a doctor or researcher accurately describe that as a dependency rather than an addiction. But we as vapers need to make that distinction ourselves, that we're not addicted to e-cigs. We're dependent on nicotine, and that's not the same as addiction. So I want to thank you for watching this. I hope that made sense. Feel free to ask me questions. Please do good and avoid evil now, and above all, help to normalize vaping.